Hello there, friends and neighbors. Thanks for coming back to my channel. This is me, Stella Hendricks, and today we are going to jump right back into our review of Wall Street Joyride by Mark Yagala, the true story of the prodigy, the playmates, and the missing $50 million. So as always, I'm only reading excerpts out of here. I'm just reading the parts about Sandy Bentley and peppering all kinds of my opinion into this. And the last thing we were talking about was how Sandy went down to Vegas for college and some of her adventures down there. Sandy met Hef when she and her twin sister Mandy were at the Garden of Eden nightclub in LA. They were both dancing. 1999 Playboy Playmate of the Year Heather Kozar approached the girls and invited them over to Hef's table. Sandy said they were weirded out by Hef, so they said they had to go to the bathroom and then snuck out of the club. Hef was so smitten with the girls that he hired a private eye to track them down. When they got the invitation from Hef to go to the Playboy Mansion, the twins reconsidered and decided to go for a visit. At the Playboy Mansion, Hef made a play for the twins and said they could stay at the mansion for the summer. They agreed on one condition. They each wanted their own bedroom. Hef quickly agreed, and then he had a set of twins as his girlfriends. Living at the Playboy Mansion changed the twins in more ways than one. Before they got there, their biggest vice was alcohol. Okay, I love this. This is so fucking hysterical. Holly Madison does this same thing on especially the Playboy Murders on the Star Stowe episode. Okay, listen, there is nothing wrong with being a stripper in Vegas. I myself had an adventure being a stripper in Vegas. Okay, I am 0.0% judging that at all. But I'm gonna let you know, if you are stripping in Las Vegas and dating either rock stars or Vegas mobsters, you are not the world's most innocent, unexperienced little lamb. Your biggest vice is probably not actually alcohol, though you might say that to any particular sucker who you might think believes it because they want to. The more I read this book, honestly, the more respect I'm getting for Sandy Bentley. This bitch is a hustler. I love her. Anyway, so this is hysterical. He's gonna go on one of these little things. Their biggest vice was alcohol. Soon they were smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, doing mushrooms, and taking ecstasy. Oh no. Sandy was able to turn it on and off because she got out of town for school. For Mandy, it was too much. Mandy became known as a party girl and a pothead. She was smoking pot from the minute she woke till the minute she went to bed. Not a pothead. Oh, God, no. It's all too much. The twins also liked the fact that there was no shortage of admirers at the Playboy Mansion. Since the girls were new to the mansion, they were also known as fresh meat, just like high school. They hadn't been passed all around Hollywood yet, and most rich guys in Hollywood are always on the hunt for the newest and freshest girls. Sandy knew this and worked to keep her sister Mandy in check. Mandy would pretty much sleep with anyone, and Sandy didn't want that to ruin the girl and her reputation. Earlier on in this book, or maybe it's later, I've been going through and getting excerpts out of it. He says that Sandy fucks for money and Mandy fucks for love. And now he's gonna criticize Mandy right now and say, oh, she'd fuck anybody. Which one is it? This guy's kind of an a-hole, this author. I don't love him very much. I'm pretty sure he wrote this book to tell the entire world about what a bunch of scandalous hoes these Bentley twins and all these girls are from the literal escort agency where he met them. With Michelle Brockman, the Nikki's girls lady. Anyway, ruined her reputation. Sandy was particularly upset with Mandy when Mandy started sleeping with one of the butlers at the mansion. Sandy told Mandy, "What are you thinking sleeping with Jameson? He's not going to get you anywhere in life. Wise the fuck up." Jameson, wasn't he one of the butlers on the Girls Next Door series? I'm gonna have to go check. But that isn't to say that Sandy was an angel. She told me she had her indiscretions with singer Michael Bolton, actor Kevin Costner, ooh, I love Kevin Costner, and model Antonio Sabato Jr., who I'm unfamiliar with, whoops. Matter of fact, she said her fantasy was to have sex with 2 guys and she wanted it to be me and Antonio. Ooh, good Lord. I was in love with Sandy and not having any part of that. Yeah, because when you're in love with someone, you do not indulge their sexual fantasies. What an idiot. Okay. The one person that was after Sandy the hardest was film producer Ted Field. He was a billionaire and the heir to the Marshall Field's department store fortune out of Chicago. He was a big playboy in Hollywood and had gotten quite a reputation for his money, his parties, and his women. He was best known for producing the movies Revenge of the Nerds and The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. He also founded Interscope Records with Jimmy Iovine, some guy. Sandy said the problem with Ted was that he had a bunch of kids with different women. Sandy said, if you ended up with Ted Field when you were washed up and needed to be taken care of for the rest of your life. Sandy said all one had to do was get pregnant with Ted Field's baby. That was a path she did not want to go on. Also, if I could rename this book, I would rename it to Sandy Said, because I think that is the most repeated phrase in this entire book. In fact, Sandy said, I think it's in there about as much as fuck, which is also, besides Sandy and said, probably the most popular word in this book. As far as her relationship with Hef, Sandy told me initially that she never had sex with him. Later on, she admitted that she did have sex with him. She said sex with Hef was all mechanical and it didn't mean anything. We don't want to go into too many details because he is just trying to be a gross loser, even though sex is not gross and it's completely fun. The girls used to make fun of how white Hef was, and then Hef started using the tanning beds at the mansion to give him some color. I thought that part was funny though. Hef was really into porn. That Holly Madison said that too, right? They'd go in there and there'd be porn all over the TVs. Sandy said sometimes gay porn played on one of his big TVs in his room. When they say gay porn, do they mean like male gay porn, or do they mean like lesbian porn? Because like pretty much all porn that is straight, pretty much all of it has 2 girls making out as well. So I don't know if that quite qualifies as gay. I'm not sure. In the porn world, you know? Sandy said her sister Mandy could have won an Oscar for her performance, how well she faked it. Sandy said Hef really had no clue about sex. I found that shocking because he's considered perhaps the greatest sexual icon of his era. Sandy said he doesn't even know how to drive a car. How is he going to know how to please a woman? Hef hadn't driven a car since the 1960s and was always chauffeured in limousines, which is funny, but what does driving a car have to do with having sex? I am not sure. Sex with Hef was at most 2 nights a week, and it was usually after they went out to the nightclubs. The girls knew when he was in the mood because he would ask them, "You want to smoke?" Hef would ply the girls with marijuana to get them in the mood. Or maybe they just wanted some weed, dude. This guy's so retarded. I mean, ridiculous. Sorry. Hef also would give the girls ecstasy or any other drugs that they wanted. That sounds really nice of him. In my humble opinion. The only problem with drugs is when people are giving them to underage people or when they're sneaking them into people's systems without their consent. That is the only time I have anything against drugs whatsoever. So people try to scandalize me with tales of cocaine up at the Playboy man. I don't care. I literally couldn't care less. Sounds great. Years later, I would watch the show The Girls Next Door about life inside the Playboy Mansion. How funny, I was just talking about that with Kendra Wilkinson, Holly Madison, and Bridget Marquardt, my fave. I remember seeing Kendra's mom all happy to meet Hef. All I could think about is how Hef had turned the Bentley twins, my little angels, and changed them the minute they stepped foot onto the grounds of the Playboy Mansion. It wasn't the Vegas strip clubs or the mafiosos that they were dating. No, it was the minute they set foot on that rotten Playboy mansion, girls go inside and in most cases become damaged for life once they come back out again. Oh my God. All I knew at the time was that I was infatuated with Sandy and I wanted to save her from Hef and the Playboy mansion. I wanted to give her everything that she ever wanted. Looking back on it now, I realize how foolish I was, but I thought I was in love, and I would do anything for the girl I loved, except a threesome with Antonio, whoever that was. This is the best book of my life, you guys. Okay, so we're gonna keep on. I'm just reading until we hit like 20-25 minutes. I'm not really like going chapter by chapter or whatever, so. Chapter 15, Expensive Girls. If you want a happy ending, that depends, of course, on where you stop your story. Orson Welles. Even though I was a multi-millionaire, I wasn't prepared for how expensive Sandy would become. Where things really got expensive was how we traveled. After that fateful first weekend, Sandy said she wanted to visit me on the East Coast. However, there was just one problem. She wouldn't fly commercial. Sandy insisted on a private jet to bring her, and not just any plane. She wanted a plane like a Gulfstream or a Challenger. Len's plane was too small for her. I should have just ran then and there, but I said, "Whatever you want, Princess." "How did you know my name was Princess?" She then showed me her keychain with little mementos, Princess, written all over them. You know, any girl that calls herself Princess is trouble, but I was too smitten and stupid. So I chartered a Challenger jet to bring Sandy to Philadelphia. The cost, $40,000 round trip. The worst part about a private jet travel is that once the money is spent, it's gone. It's not like an asset, a house, a piece of jewelry, or a car. Gee, I wonder where this $50 million went, you guys. This is a mystery. Sandy arrived around 9 p.m. and I met her on the tarmac as she was coming off the plane. I was there waiting with a dozen red roses and my red Ferrari convertible, which I brought up from Florida to use in the summer. I had met Sandy in August of 1999 when I was just 21 years old. She was 20. The next month I turned 22. Even though it was costing me a fortune, I didn't care. How many 21-year-olds are picking up their Playboy girlfriends on a chartered private jet in a red Ferrari to go out to dinner and then home to their mansion? I was living every man's fantasy and doing it at an age when men are at their sexual peak. I could tell Sandy was impressed with the scene at the airport. How could she not be? We then went for dinner at Kansas City Prime in Manayuk, which is just outside of Philadelphia. Steak was Sandy's favorite, and I knew she would like the restaurant. After dinner, we drove 45 minutes to my McMansion in Delaware. I left all the lights on, and the house was very impressive at night, all lit up. My McMansion was on the hill, and there was a long driveway that was all lit up, along with the grounds as well. Sandy was even more impressed once we got inside. "Who's your decorator? Oh my God, I love this house. This is how I want to decorate my house." "No problem, Princess. My decorator is Hank Page from Albert's Interiors. I'm sure he'll have no problem going out to Vegas to decorate your house once you find a house that you're looking for." That night was the first night that Sandy and I did the dirty deed. It was awesome. Blah, 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 blah. He's an idiot. The only problem, I never wanted to stop. What an asshole. He really enjoys getting blowjobs from her, and he's really gross. Okay. The next day, Sandy and I took Len's helicopter to New York. She was blown away with the helicopter ride going into Manhattan. My driver was waiting for us when we landed and took us to the Four Seasons Hotel where we had the presidential suite. I took her to see The Lion King and we had dinner at Campagnola. Going to see The Lion King with Sandy was rather a tame event, unlike when I went with Faith. I don't know what happened with Faith, but that sounds exciting. At Camp Agnola, Sandy was impressed with the service and how we were treated. Everyone knew me there, and Sandy knew that I was not only the real deal, but a big deal as well. It was the same at the Four Seasons Hotel, where everyone knew me as Mr. Yagala. Doesn't that remind you of Goodfellas? That scene where Henry Hill goes in the back door to the Copacabana with his new little honey. I've been watching this channel from Michael Franchese, something like that. He was a mafioso who ended up getting out, and now he's really Jesus-y, which isn't my thing, but good for him. And he talks a lot about, what his life was like in the mafia culture stuff, and he reviews a bunch of the old mafia movies and stuff. Anyway, why the heck am I telling you this? Because of the Henry Hill, and he says that Henry Hill is a big fat liar. Well, not exactly. He says that Henry Hill is a big fat exaggerator, and that if he ever got the back entrance into the Copacabana, it's because he was with Big Paulie or something, that he wasn't like a big capo himself. He was just kind of a foot soldier, Henry Hill. Which seemed like correct to me, but hey, you can formulate your own opinions on that. I'm just telling you what I heard. Sandy also had a wild side to her. She loved strip clubs, and particularly liked Scores when I took her there. At Scores, it was the first time Sandy had taken ecstasy around me. I never touched ecstasy, but it really had the power to work magic on the girls. And then they all went a little wild in the strip club, it sounds like. There's a wild element and pure spontaneity that can make someone extra horny. It's taboo, and that's what I liked about it. All in all, it was a great weekend, and I whisked Sandy off her feet. However, it was really just an exploratory weekend for Sandy. She wanted to see how rich I really was, because she is one hell of a hustler. I love her. She wanted to see how rich I really was, because when she got back to Vegas, her price range for houses went up to $1.5 million and $2 million. Again, stupid me just couldn't say no. The next weekend, I went out to Vegas to look at the house Sandy wanted, a $1.6 million mansion in Spanish Trail Country Club. It was obvious why Sandy chose Spanish Trail and this house. It was bigger than her ex-boyfriend Bill's house, and she wanted him to know that she had a new boyfriend with more money than him. That part didn't bother me. I was a competitive person, and if I got one over on someone else, I was pretty happy. A little man with a big ego, especially when I sat on my wallet or had a hot girl like Sandy next to me. Between Sandy and me, we were using the plane so much that we usually averaged 90 hours a month. My monthly plane bill was now to $350,000 to $400,000 a month. Holy shit. I still don't know what I was thinking at the time. The lifestyle inflation went through the roof. Sandy and Tashara's monthly allowance was originally $20,000 each. Since Sandy became the official girlfriend, she got bumped to $50,000 a month and then $100,000 a month. Plus, she got her own Platinum American Express card with no limit. She was averaging another $100,000 a month on the Amex. Between Sandy, the plane, and the casinos, I was going through a minimum of $1 million a month. When I could have been setting myself up for life, I was spending it as fast as it came in. It just goes to show you it's not how much money you make, but rather how much money you save, or how little of a complete asshole and idiot you are. I have very little sympathy for this guy. You can probably tell. Sandy could now bring her own girlfriends into the circle and get on the money train. The first one up on deck was her childhood best friend, Jessica Paisley. He's rude things to say. The twins were even able to get Hef to take Jessica on as his fourth girlfriend. I think that really showed what a sucker Hef was. Yeah, Mark, you haven't just complained to us for the past 3 pages about what a sucker you are, but you think you're like he's an idiot, this guy. Thanks for writing this book, though, because this is Entertainment Central. No. With the stress of everything, I just wanted to get away on the Gulfstream jet. Sandy and I decided to jet off to Hawaii for some downtime. She asked if she could bring Jessica along, and I agreed. First, we went to Kauai and stayed at the presidential suite of the Princeville Resort. Sandy wanted to go back there because that's where she and her ex-boyfriend Bill had stayed. Seems like Sandy's a little hung up on her ex-boyfriend Bill. We did the usual Hawaii stuff, or maybe it's him. Maybe Mark is the one who's a little hung up on her ex-boyfriend Bill. I bet you that's the truth. I bet that he is the one who's a little obsessed with her ex-boyfriend Bill, and he's painting it out like it was her. I'm so on to you. We did the regular Hawaii stuff, rode horses, went for a helicopter ride where I got my customary sex act, and we did the beach. After Kauai, we went to Maui and stayed at the Grand Wailea Resort. Maui was better for the girls, but worse for me because it had shopping. One day, we decided to take the Gulfstream and go to Honolulu for the afternoon. Let me tell you what a mistake that was. I was scared for my life when I took the girls to a nightclub before heading back to Maui. I think the Hawaiian men wanted to kill me and rape the girls. When they saw the blondes, they went into heat. Okay, that's not the most fucking racist thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so in case we didn't totally think this guy was disgusting before, we can go ahead and think it now. This guy. Cat! Well, we're all about done anyway. Overall, it wasn't a good trip. For the first time ever, Sandy and I started to fight. She complained that I wanted sex too much, and I complained that she didn't want it enough. And Jessica was just a third wheel. I don't know why Sandy even wanted her around. She had zero personality and zero brains. Okay, Mark. Sandy was always worried about leaving Jessica alone. She even wanted me to fix her up with one of my friends. Sandy suggested Eddie, and I was like, what for? Jessica wasn't what he was looking for. Now, Sandy's sister Mandy was a different story. All of my friends would have loved to date Mandy, even if she ruined her reputation smoking pot all day. But I had not even met Mandy yet. That would all change after we left Hawaii. On the way back to the mainland, we stopped in LA to drop off Jessica, and we got to the presidential suite at the Regent Beverly Wilshire. Jessica was sharing a 3-bedroom apartment in the Beverly Hills with Mandy Jessica was sharing a 3-bedroom apartment in Beverly Hills with Mandy that Hef was supposed to be paying for. Poor Hef, he was so stupid because all of his supposed girlfriends were fucking guys behind his back. My dude. Do you hear yourself right now? Oh my gosh, wow. That's why Mandy wanted the apartment in the first place. She wanted a place to get together with her boyfriend, Dave. He was a club promoter at the Garden of Eden, where Hef liked to take the girls. He met Mandy on one of her trips to the bathroom. Holly Madison talks about that, how the girls would escaping, go on trips to the bathroom. Again, Sandy was the more business-minded of the twins. Mandy fucked for love while Sandy fucked for money. Mandy could tell that I wasn't happy. Sandy was acting like a bitch too. Mandy, sensing that something was wrong, became the smarter twin. I overheard her tell Sandy, you better go fuck him pretty quick or else you're gonna lose him. And that's what happened. Sandy said she'd like to show me the apartment, and we went and fucked in Mandy's room. This would become a pattern for Sandy and me, have a fight, and then have incredible makeup sex. Blah, 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 and then he talks about more boring money stuff. Okay, cool. So we're at the time mark. And thank you so much for another deep dive review of Wall Street Joyride by Mark Higala with me. It is a fascinating book and very amusing. It's definitely good for a laugh. And it does give you some really interesting details. I love all that Girls Next Door, Playboy stuff. It's like an endlessly fascinating world of Barbie dolls and adventure. All right, I guess I will see you next time. I will try to get this up a little sooner than last time. Sorry, I go through definite spurts of creativity, and then I just need to crash and do nothing for 2 weeks. But then I always come back again. So thanks very much. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I will catch you on the flip side.